Rosa's hands shook as the 60-year-old crime lord circled her like prey, his presence filling every corner of her small living room with raw masculine power. "You're going to be my wife," Antonello stated simply, his fingers trailing along her jawline with shocking gentleness that contradicted the dominance in his eyes. She jerked away from his touch, but her body betrayed her with a flush of heat she couldn't control. "I'll give you 3 days to accept, but know this." He leaned in until his lips nearly brushed her ear, his breath hot against her neck. "When you finally surrender to me, it won't be force, it will be your choice, and you'll beg me for every moment of it." The promise in his words terrified her almost as much as the traitorous flutter in her stomach. The apartment door hung open like a broken promise. Rosa stepped inside, grocery bags cutting into her palms, and froze. 3 men in black suits filled her tiny living room. They sat on her second-hand couch like kings on thrones, completely still, completely silent. The largest one smiled at her, but his eyes stayed cold. "Miss Rosa Hayes?" His voice rumbled like distant thunder. The bags slipped from her fingers. Apples rolled across the floor, bouncing against expensive leather shoes that had no business being in her neighborhood. Her heart hammered against her ribs. "Where is my brother?" The words came out sharper than she intended. "Safe. For now." The man stood, towering over her. "My name is Francis. I work for someone who wants to meet you. Someone your father owes a great deal of money." Her father? That worthless man who abandoned them 6 months ago, leaving behind nothing but unpaid bills and broken promises. Rosa lifted her chin, forcing strength into her voice. "My father's debts aren't mine. Get out of my home. $2 million says otherwise." A new voice, smooth as aged whiskey, cut through the tension. Rosa spun toward her kitchen. A man stood there, silver hair gleaming under the dim light, dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her yearly rent. He looked 60 but moved like a panther, each step deliberate and powerful. His eyes, dark as midnight, fixed on her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "Who are you?" "Antonello Marchetti. Your father borrowed from me. He used your family as collateral. Now he's gone, and the debt transfers to you." He moved closer, studying her face like she was a puzzle he intended to solve. "You have 3 options. Pay me $2 million by Friday. Watch your mother lose her medical care and your brother disappear. Or accept my proposal." Rosa's blood turned to ice. Her mother was in the hospital fighting pneumonia. Her 12-year-old brother Jonah needed her. She worked 3 jobs and barely scraped by. $2 million might as well be $2 billion. What proposal? She hated how small her voice sounded. Antonello circled her slowly, a predator assessing prey. "Marry me. Give me a child. 1 year of your life and your family's debt disappears. Your mother gets the best medical care money can buy. Your brother receives protection and education. You walk away wealthy enough to never struggle again." The words hit her like physical blows. "You're insane." "I'm dying." He said it simply, without emotion. "I have perhaps 3 years left. My empire needs an heir. My enemies circle like sharks. I need someone strong, someone who understands loyalty and sacrifice. I've watched you for months, Rosa. You work yourself to exhaustion for your family. You have fire in your eyes even when you're broken. You're exactly what I need." "You've been watching me?" Anger replaced fear, burning hot in her chest. "You're a stalker and a criminal. I'll call the police." Antonello pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and turned it toward her. The video showed Jonah leaving school, Francis's men flanking him on both sides. Her brother looked scared but unharmed. "The police can't help you. They're afraid of me. Your brother is comfortable in one of my properties, eating pizza and playing video games. He stays safe as long as you cooperate. You have 3 days to decide." Antonello moved close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive and woodsy. "I'm not a good man, Rosa. But I keep my promises. Accept my deal and your family thrives. Refuse and I'll take what I'm owed in other ways." She wanted to scream, to fight, to run. But Jonah's frightened face on that screen kept her frozen. "Why me? Rich men like you could have anyone." Rich men like me can buy bodies. I need someone with a soul. His hand reached out, fingers brushing a strand of hair from her face. The touch sent unexpected electricity down her spine. Someone who won't crumble under pressure. Someone worth building a legacy with. Rosa slapped his hand away. Don't touch me. Instead of anger, something like approval flickered in his eyes. Spirit. You'll need it. He walked toward the door, his men rising to follow. 3 days, Rosa. Think about your mother struggling to breathe. Think about Jonah growing up without his sister. Think about whether your pride is worth their suffering. He paused at the threshold, turning back with an expression she couldn't read. I won't force you into my bed. But if you agree, I expect you to fulfill the contract completely. This isn't about romance or feelings. This is business. You give me an heir, I give you freedom and security. Simple. There's nothing simple about selling myself to a monster. Antonello's jaw tightened. For a moment, something painful flashed across his face before his mask returned. Monsters don't offer choices. I'm giving you one. Use it wisely. The door closed behind them, leaving Rosa alone with scattered apples and shattered illusions of safety. She sank to the floor, hands shaking, mind racing. 3 days to decide between her dignity and her family's survival. 3 days to choose between freedom and a gilded cage. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your mother's treatment bill has been paid in full. Consider it a down payment on your decision. Whatever you choose, she won't suffer for your father's mistakes. Rosa stared at the message until the screen blurred. Antonello Marchetti was offering her hell wrapped in silk. But he was also offering her mother life, her brother safety, and herself a way out of poverty that had crushed her spirit for years. She picked up an apple, its skin bruised from the fall, and made her decision. Some cages were bigger than others. Some monsters kept their word. The wedding dress fit perfectly, which somehow made everything worse. Rosa stared at herself in the floor-length mirror, barely recognizing the woman in ivory silk. The dress hugged her curves before flowing to the floor in elegant waves. A simple veil covered her dark hair. She looked like a princess from a fairy tale. She felt like a prisoner walking toward execution. You look beautiful, dear. Frances appeared behind her, the older woman's kind face creased with sympathy. She had introduced herself that morning as Antonello's housekeeper, though Rosa suspected she was much more. I know this isn't what you wanted. Does he do this often? By women? Never. In 40 years of working for him, I've never seen Antonello pursue anyone. You're the first. Frances adjusted the veil with gentle hands. He's not the devil everyone thinks he is. Give him a chance to show you. Before Rosa could respond, the door opened. Antonello stood there in a black tuxedo, looking like sin personified. His silver hair was swept back, emphasizing sharp cheekbones and those penetrating dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her defenses. It's time. His voice was steady, but something flickered in his gaze as he took in her appearance. You look acceptable. Acceptable. The word stung more than it should. Rosa lifted her chin, refusing to let him see her hurt. Let's get this over with. The ceremony happened in Antonello's private study, witnessed only by Frances and Francis. A judge who clearly owed Antonello favors spoke words about love and commitment that felt like cruel jokes. Rosa repeated vows that tasted like ash on her tongue. When Antonello slipped the ring onto her finger, a massive diamond that probably cost more than her childhood home, she felt the trap closing around her. You may kiss the bride. Antonello's hand cupped her face with surprising gentleness. His lips brushed hers, soft and brief, nothing like the demanding possession she had expected. For one confused moment, her body responded, heat blooming in her chest. Then he pulled away, and the businesslike mask returned. Welcome to the Marchetti family, wife. The estate tour revealed a world Rosa had only seen in movies. Marble floors stretched endlessly. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. Art that belonged in museums decorated the walls. Her new bedroom connected to Antonello's through a shared sitting room, luxurious but separate. You have your own space. I won't enter without permission unless necessary. Antonello gestured to the walk-in closet already filled with designer clothes in her exact size. Everything you need is here. Credit cards, phone, computer. You can contact your family anytime. Jonah will be brought home tomorrow. How generous of my jailer. His expression hardened. I'm your husband, not your jailer. You agreed to this arrangement. I had no choice. Everyone has choices, Rosa. You chose your family over your pride. That makes you strong, not weak. He moved closer, and she caught that woodsy scent again, intoxicating despite her anger. I chose you because I saw that strength. Don't prove me wrong. That night, Antonello came to her room after midnight. Rosa sat on the massive bed, still in the wedding dress, unable to make herself undress. Unable to accept that this was her reality now. Are you planning to sleep in that? He leaned against the doorframe, having removed his jacket and tie. The white shirt pulled across broad shoulders, top buttons undone to reveal silver chest hair. Maybe I'm planning not to sleep at all. Antonello crossed the room in 3 strides, sitting beside her on the bed. Up close, she could see fine lines around his eyes, the slight gray stubble on his jaw. He looked tired, almost vulnerable. I know you hate me. That's fine. Hate me all you want, but take care of yourself. You'll need your strength. His hand reached for hers, thumb brushing over the wedding ring. This doesn't have to be terrible, Rosa. We can make it bearable. By doing what you brought me here for? She couldn't keep the bitterness from her voice. By letting you use me until I give you what you want? Something painful crossed his face. Is that what you think? That I'm going to force myself on you tonight? Isn't that the plan? Antonello stood abruptly, running a hand through his hair. For the first time, he looked uncertain. The plan is for us to create a child together, yes. But I'm not an animal. We have time. Get comfortable here first. Learn to trust that I'll keep my word about your family. Why would you wait? You said you're dying. Wouldn't you want to rush? He turned back, and the raw emotion in his eyes stole her breath. Because when it happens, I want you willing. I want you to choose it, even if you never choose me. He walked to the door, pausing with his hand on the frame. Get some rest, Wes. Tomorrow you'll meet my world. It's dangerous and dark, but I'll keep you safe. That much I can promise. After he left, Rosa finally removed the dress, hands shaking. She curled up in the enormous bed, surrounded by silk sheets that cost more than her monthly salary, and tried to understand the man she had married. Antonello Marchetti was supposed to be a monster. Monsters didn't wait. Monsters didn't care about consent or comfort. Maybe Francis was right. Maybe he wasn't the devil everyone thought. Or maybe he was just a very skilled liar. The gunshot shattered the peaceful morning like an explosion. Rosa dropped her coffee cup, porcelain smashing against marble as men in black flooded the dining room. Antonello moved faster than seemed possible for a 60-year-old man, grabbing her around the waist and pulling her to the floor. His body covered hers completely, solid and protective. Stay down. His voice was steel and ice. More gunshots. The massive windows exploded inward, glass raining down like deadly snow. Rosa's scream caught in her throat as Antonello's men returned fire, the sound deafening in the enclosed space. Through the chaos, she saw figures in the garden, at least a dozen men with automatic weapons. Francis, get her to the safe room. Antonello barked orders while shielding her, his weight pressing her into the cold floor. Not without you. Rosa didn't know where the words came from. 2 weeks ago, she would have celebrated his death. Now, terror filled her at the thought of him getting hurt. Antonello's eyes met hers, surprise flickering through the intensity. Concerned for your investment? Concerned for the idiot using himself as a human shield? Something that might have been a smile crossed his face before another volley of bullets forced him to cover her more completely. She felt his heart hammering against her back, felt the controlled tension in his muscles. This was his world. Violence and danger and death lurking around every corner. Francis appeared, grabbing Rosa's arm and hauling her toward a hidden door in the wall. She fought him, trying to see Antonello, but the older man was stronger than he looked. He knows what he's doing, Mississippi. Let him work. The safe room was a reinforced bunker beneath the mansion, stocked with supplies and weapons. Francis waited there, pale but composed, ushering Rosa inside. The steel door sealed shut with an ominous thud. What's happening? Who's attacking? Victor Kozlov, Antonello's former partner. Francis handed her a glass of water with steady hands. They had a disagreement 20 years ago over territory. Victor has wanted revenge ever since. Hours crawled by. Rosa paced the small space, imagination conjuring horrible scenarios. What if Antonello died? What happened to her and Jonah then? The questions felt selfish and small, but beneath them lurked something bigger, more frightening. She didn't want Antonello dead. Somewhere in 2 weeks of living in his world, watching him read in the library, listening to him talk about art and music, seeing the gentle way he treated Francis, her hatred had started crumbling. When the door finally opened, Antonello stood there alive but bleeding. A bullet had grazed his left shoulder, crimson staining his white shirt. Rosa moved without thinking, rushing to him, hands fluttering over the wound. You're hurt. Why are you standing? Sit down before you fall down, you stubborn man. Antonello caught her hands, holding them against his chest. His heart still raced beneath her palms. I've had worse. The attackers are dead or captured. You're safe. I was safe down here. You were the one being shot at. Anger and relief tangled in her chest, making her voice sharp. Doing my job. Protecting what's mine. I'm not yours. I'm just a contract, remember? His grip tightened, pulling her closer until barely any space separated them. Blood and gunpowder and that woodsy cologne filled her senses. You're my wife. That makes you mine to protect, contract or not. The doctor who came to treat him revealed worse news. The bullet had aggravated Antonello's existing heart condition. He needed to rest, reduce stress, take his medications seriously. Antonello dismissed the advice with a wave of his hand. I'll rest when I'm dead. Which will be sooner if you keep being stupid. Rosa surprised herself with the outburst. You want an heir? You want your legacy? Then stay alive long enough to meet your child. The room went silent. The doctor quietly left. Antonello stared at her with an expression she couldn't read, something between shock and wonder. You care if I live or die? I care that I didn't sign up to be a widow before becoming a mother. The lie tasted bitter on her tongue. The truth was too terrifying to admit. That night, Rosa sat beside Antonello's bed, refusing to leave despite his protests. He had finally fallen asleep, medications dulling the pain, his face relaxed in a way she rarely saw. He looked younger without the constant tension, almost peaceful. She found herself reaching out, fingers brushing silver hair back from his forehead. Who are you really, Antonello Marchetti? She whispered to the sleeping man. Monster or protector? Captor or guardian? His hand caught hers, though his eyes remained closed. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Maybe just a dying man who found something worth living for. Her breath caught. You're awake. Hard to sleep with you staring at me like I'm a puzzle. His eyes opened, dark and deep. Why are you here, Rosa? You could be in your room, safe and comfortable. Making sure you don't do anything else stupid tonight. Liar. His thumb traced circles on her palm, the gesture intimate and soothing. You were worried. Admit it. Fine. I was worried. Happy. Confused. 2 weeks ago you looked at me with pure hatred. Now you're holding vigil at my bedside. He tugged her hand gently, pulling her to sit on the edge of his bed. What changed? Everything. Nothing. Rosa didn't know how to explain that living in his world had revealed cracks in her assumptions. That watching him treat Francis with respect, seeing him donate anonymously to children's hospitals, hearing him play piano in the music room at midnight, had made him human instead of monstrous. You paid my mother's bills before I even agreed to marry you. Francis told you. It wasn't a question. She told me a lot of things. That you've been secretly funding Jonah's school. That you knew my father and tried to help him before he ran. That the debt was fabricated to bring me here because you were too afraid to approach me normally. Rosa met his eyes, seeing truth there. Why me really? Not the Empire answer. The real reason. Antonello was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw with emotion. I saw you one day 6 months ago, at the hospital visiting your mother. You were exhausted, running on empty, but you smiled at her like she was the most important person in the world. You sacrificed everything for your family without complaint. I've built empires and crushed enemies, but I've never seen that kind of pure love. His hand came up to cup her face, and she didn't pull away. I wanted it. I wanted you. I knew you'd never give me a chance if I approached honestly, so I manufactured one. It was selfish and wrong, but I don't regret it. You should. You trapped me. I know. And I'll pay for that sin every day I have left. His thumb brushed her cheekbone, the touch achingly gentle. But I can't regret what brought you into my life, even temporarily. Rosa's heart hammered against her ribs. This was dangerous territory, feelings she had no business developing for a man who had bought her like property. But when she looked at Antonello, she didn't see her captor anymore. She saw a lonely man staring at mortality, desperate for connection before the end. What happens when the year is up? When I give you your heir, you're free. That was the deal. And if I don't want to be free? The words escaped before she could stop them. Antonello's expression cracked, revealing raw hope beneath the careful control. Then I'd spend whatever time I have left showing you that you're not just a contract to me. That somewhere in this twisted arrangement, I fell completely in love with my reluctant wife. The confession hung between them, honest and terrifying. Rosa should run. Should protect her heart from a man who had months or years at best. Instead, she leaned down and kissed him, soft and sweet, tasting possibility and danger and something that felt dangerously like love. When they finally pulled apart, Antonello's smile was genuine and beautiful. Stay with me tonight. Just sleep. I just want you close. Rosa climbed into bed beside him, curling against his uninjured side. His arm wrapped around her, holding her like she was precious and fragile. For the first time since her father disappeared, she felt safe. Outside, danger still lurked. Victor still plotted. The future remained uncertain. But in that moment, wrapped in Antonello's embrace, Rosa let herself believe that maybe monsters could change. That maybe love could grow in the darkest soil. That maybe she had found something worth fighting for. The pregnancy test showed 2 pink lines. Rosa stared at it in the bathroom, hands trembling, emotions swirling too fast to name. 6 weeks of marriage. 6 weeks of slowly falling in love with a dying man. 6 weeks of stolen kisses and late-night conversations and learning that Antonello Marchetti was so much more than the criminal the world saw. And now she carried his child. Joy and terror tangled in her chest. She wanted to run to him, share the news, see his face light up. But voices from the hallway stopped her cold. The contract is clear, Antonello. Once she delivers a healthy child, she's free to go. You promised you wouldn't trap her permanently. Francis's voice carried worry. I know what I promised. I'll honor it even if it destroys me. Antonello sounded tired, defeated. Rosa deserves better than a dying criminal. When the baby comes, I'll give her enough money to disappear, start fresh somewhere safe. Rosa pressed her hand to her mouth, holding back a sob. After everything, after falling in love with him, Antonello still planned to let her go. He still saw their marriage as a business arrangement with an expiration date. The test dropped into the trash. She wouldn't tell him. Not yet. Not until she figured out what she wanted, because clearly Antonello had already decided her future without asking. That afternoon, everything shattered completely. The man at her door looked like a ghost. Salt and pepper hair, tired eyes, familiar features that haunted her childhood. Patrick Hayes stood there in a cheap suit, looking older than his 50 years. Hello, Rosie. Her father's voice cracked. I know you hate me. You have every right. But I need to talk to you. It's about Antonello. Rosa wanted to slam the door in his face. This man had abandoned them, left her to shoulder impossible burdens, destroyed any trust she had in fathers or family. But curiosity and old wounds kept her frozen. You have 5 minutes. Patrick entered cautiously, looking around the mansion with wide eyes. You married him. Antonello Marchetti. Do you have any idea what he is? A better man than you. The word struck home. Patrick flinched but pushed forward. He's using you, Rosie. I was in witness protection because I testified against Viktor Kozlov's organization 20 years ago. Antonello and Viktor were partners back then. I saw things, terrible things. They tortured people, killed families, destroyed lives. That was 20 years ago. People change. Monsters don't change, they just hide better. Patrick grabbed her shoulders, desperation in his eyes. I borrowed money because Viktor's people found me. I was trying to get you and Jonah somewhere safe before they used you against me. Then Antonello stepped in, and I thought he was helping. Instead, he trapped you in this world. Rosa pulled away, mind racing. If Antonello wanted to hurt me, he's had plenty of opportunities. He protects me. He cares about me. He's conditioning you, making you dependent, breaking down your resistance. It's what men like him do. Patrick's voice rose. Please, Rosie. Come with me. Witness protection can take you and Jonah. You can disappear, be safe. Safe. Anger burned through confusion. Where were you when Mom was dying in a hospital bed we couldn't afford? When Jonah was eating cereal for dinner because I worked 3 jobs and still couldn't make rent? You don't get to show up now and play father. Before Patrick could respond, the door burst open. Rosa spun to see Francis and 2 other guards rushing in, weapons drawn. But they weren't looking at Patrick. They were looking at her, expressions urgent and terrified. It's Antonello. He's been taken. The world tilted. What? Viktor's men hit the downtown office. They grabbed him during a meeting. Left this. Francis handed her a phone showing a video. Antonello sat tied to a chair in a dark warehouse, blood trickling from his temple. Viktor Kozlov stood behind him, a cruel smile on his weathered face. The older man spoke directly to the camera. Hello, Mrs. Marchetti. Your husband and I have unfinished business. Come to the old factory on 5th Street by midnight, alone, and maybe I'll let him live. Bring anyone else, and I'll send you his head in a box. The video ended. Rosa's hands shook so hard she nearly dropped the phone. Terror, raw and absolute, consumed her. They had Antonello. They were going to kill him. It's a trap. Patrick's voice cut through her panic. Viktor wants you both dead. If you go, you'll die. Then I die. The words came out steady, certain. I'm not leaving him. Rosie, please. Be smart about this. She turned on her father, fury blazing. Being smart would be running. Saving myself. Protecting the baby I'm carrying. Patrick's eyes widened, but she pushed on. But I love him. I love Antonello, and I won't abandon him the way you abandoned us. So either help me or get out of my way. Francis stepped forward, respect in his eyes. We have men, weapons, a plan. But Viktor was specific. You have to go in alone first or Antonello dies immediately. Then that's what I'll do. The next hours blurred together. Rosa changed into dark clothes, refused the bulletproof vest Francis offered, and listened to tactical plans that made her head spin. Patrick tried repeatedly to stop her, but she had made her choice. At 11:45, she stood outside the abandoned factory, heart hammering. Alone as demanded. But she knew Francis and his men waited nearby, ready to storm in at her signal. The factory loomed like a monster's mouth, dark and threatening. Rosa took a breath, thought of Antonello's smile, the way he held her at night, the future they could have together, and walked inside. Viktor waited in the center of the vast space, surrounded by armed men. Antonello hung from chains, barely conscious, beaten badly. Blood covered his face and chest. Rage and terror warred in Rosa's heart. Let him go. You have me now. Her voice echoed in the empty space. Viktor laughed, the sound sharp and cruel. Why would I let go of my leverage? No, Mrs. Marchetti. You're both going to die tonight. But first, you're going to watch me kill your husband slowly. Payment for 20 years of humiliation. Viktor, please. This is between us. Antonello's voice was weak but steady. Let Rosa go. She's innocent. Rosa met Antonello's eyes across the space. Even beaten and dying, He looked at her with such love it made her chest ache. She mouthed 3 words. I love you. His expression cracked, tears mixing with blood on his battered face. Then chaos erupted. Francis and his men stormed through every entrance, guns blazing. Victor's men returned fire. Bullets flew everywhere. Rosa dropped to the ground, crawling toward Antonello through the mayhem. But someone else got there first. A figure in black appeared from the shadows, cutting Antonello's chains and catching him as he fell. Through the smoke and chaos, Rosa recognized the face. The man her father had called a trusted security chief. The man who had supposedly been loyal to Antonello for years. The man who now pressed a gun to Antonello's temple and smiled at the carnage. Everyone stop or Antonello Marchetti dies right now. The gunfire ceased. Victor looked furious, outmaneuvered. Francis and his men froze, weapons still trained but useless. And Rosa understood with horrible clarity that betrayal came from the least expected places. That their greatest enemy had been inside the gates all along. Chapter 5. Final Battle and Forever After. The traitor's name was Marcus Stone. He had worked for Antonello for 15 years, trusted with secrets and security, given access to everything that mattered. Now he stood with a gun to his boss's head, smiling like he had won the lottery. Surprised, Antonello? You shouldn't be. You're getting old, sloppy. You never even suspected. Marcus's voice was poison-sweet. I've been feeding Victor information for months, setting up this perfect moment. With both of you dead, I take over your empire. Victor gets his revenge. Everyone wins. Except us. Rosa forced herself to stand, to look unafraid even though terror threatened to choke her. Why betray him? Antonello trusted you. Trust. Marcus laughed bitterly. He trusted me to follow orders, to stay in my place, to watch him build a dynasty while I got scraps. I'm 45 years old with nothing to show for it. No family, no legacy, no respect. Just a loyal dog waiting for table scraps. Antonello spoke through swollen lips, each word clearly painful. I gave you everything. Position, money, respect. What more did you want? The truth. Marcus's composure cracked, rage bleeding through. I wanted you to acknowledge me, to see me as more than an employee, but you were too busy playing crime lord, too important to notice anything beyond your precious empire. Something in Antonello's expression shifted. Despite the gun, despite the danger, he looked at Marcus with sudden understanding. How did you know about the scar on my left shoulder blade? The one from a knife fight when I was 17. I never told anyone that story except one person. Marcus's hand trembled. My mother told me. Before she died last year. She told me everything about the man who got her pregnant and disappeared before I was born. The warehouse went silent except for the sound of distant sirens. Rosa's mind raced, connecting impossible pieces. Victor looked equally shocked, his plan derailing. You're my son. Antonello's voice was barely a whisper. I'm nothing to you. I never was. Tears ran down Marcus's face, but the gun stayed steady. My mother loved you. Camilla Stone. Remember her? A waitress you had an affair with 30 years ago? She never told you about me because you made it clear you didn't want complications. So she raised me alone, working 3 jobs, struggling every day while you built your empire. Rosa's heart broke watching Antonello's face crumble. I didn't know. Camilla never said anything. If I had known, I would have been there. I would have taken care of both of you. Liar. You don't care about anyone but yourself. That was true once. Antonello's eyes found Rosa across the space. Before I understood what love really was. Before I realized that empire means nothing without family. I failed your mother. I failed you. But I can make it right now. Put down the gun, Marcus. Let me be the father I should have been. It's too late for that. It's never too late. Francis's voice cut through the tension. The older woman stepped forward, hands raised peacefully. I knew your mother, Marcus. Camilla was my best friend. She made me promise never to tell Antonello about you because she was proud and stubborn. But she also made me promise to look after you if anything happened to her. I've been watching you for years, trying to guide you, hoping you'd find peace. Marcus's gun wavered. You knew. I knew. And I've been trying to find the right moment to tell Antonello, but the time never seemed right. Then he married Rosa, and I saw him change. I saw him become the man Camilla always believed he could be. Francis moved closer, fearless. Your mother loved him despite his flaws. She'd be heartbroken to see you like this. She'd be heartbroken that he abandoned us. I abandoned everyone who mattered. Antonello's voice was steady despite the gun at his head. I built walls around myself, convinced that emotion was weakness. I destroyed relationships and pushed people away. But I'm done running from the truth. Marcus, you're my son. I can't change the past, but I can offer you the future. Lower the gun. Join your family. Family? Marcus's laugh was broken. You married her for an heir. You don't know anything about family. I do now. Antonello looked at Rosa with such raw love it made her breath catch. Because she taught me. Rosa showed me that family isn't about blood or business. It's about sacrifice and love and choosing each other every day. You're my son. That makes you family whether you accept it or not. Rosa made her decision. She stepped forward despite Francis's protest, walking straight to Marcus and Antonello. The gun swung toward her, but she didn't stop. Shoot me if you want. But listen first. She met Marcus's eyes, seeing pain and confusion there. I understand betrayal. My father abandoned me too. I raised my brother alone, worked myself to exhaustion, wondered why I wasn't good enough to stay for. Then Antonello trapped me in this world, and I hated him for it. Then why defend him? Because he changed. Because he showed me that people can grow beyond their mistakes. Because he loves me enough to let me go free after I give him his heir, even though it's killing him inside. Rosa moved closer, putting herself between the gun and Antonello. You want revenge for your mother? For yourself? That's valid. But killing him won't fill the emptiness. Trust me. I've spent years angry at my father, and it only made me bitter. Marcus's hand shook harder. What am I supposed to do? Just forgive everything? No. Make him earn it. Make him prove he's worthy of being your father. But give him the chance. Rosa reached out slowly, putting her hand on the gun. Please. For your mother. For the man she loved. For the family you could have. For an endless moment, everything balanced on a knife's edge. Then Marcus's face crumpled, and the gun lowered. Rosa grabbed it quickly, stepping back, while Francis moved in to embrace the sobbing man. Victor chose that moment to make his move. He raised his own weapon, aiming at Antonello's heart, rage twisting his features. If I can't have revenge, nobody gets a happy ending. 3 things happened at once. Marcus threw himself forward, shielding Antonello. Francis's men opened fire. And Patrick Hayes appeared from the shadows, tackling Victor to the ground. The gunshot echoed through the warehouse. Marcus fell, blood blooming across his shoulder. Antonello caught him, lowering him gently, while chaos erupted around them. Victor was subdued, screaming curses. Police sirens grew louder. Rosa dropped to her knees beside Antonello and Marcus, pressing her hands to the wound. You're going to be okay. Stay with us. Marcus looked up at Antonello through pain-glazed eyes. Did you mean it? About being a father? Every word. I've wasted 30 years running from love and family. I won't waste another second. Antonello's tears fell freely now. You're my son. I'm so proud of you for choosing mercy over revenge. Paramedics rushed in. They worked on Marcus while others attended to Antonello's injuries. Through everything, father and son held hands, 30 years of separation bridged in a moment of crisis and choice. Later, in the hospital, Rosa sat between their beds. Both men would recover. Victor was in custody, finally facing justice for decades of crimes. Patrick had disappeared again, but he had left a note saying he was proud of her strength and sorry for his failures. You're quiet. Antonello's voice was rough from exhaustion. Rosa smiled, taking his hand. Just thinking about how much has changed in 2 months. I went from hating you to loving you. From being alone to having a family. About that. Antonello struggled to sit up, wincing at his injuries. The contract. I'm tearing it up. I don't want you bound to me by obligation. What if I want to be bound by choice? His breath caught. What? I'm pregnant, Antonello. 6 weeks along. I found out the day you were taken, and I couldn't tell you because I was terrified. Rosa moved to perch on the edge of his bed, both their hands resting on her still flat stomach. You gave me the option to leave when the baby comes. I'm choosing to stay. Not for security or protection, but because I love you. Because I want to build a real family with you, for however long we have. Antonello pulled her close, careful of his injuries, and kissed her like she was oxygen and he was drowning. When they finally separated, both were crying. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. Rosa kissed him again, soft and sweet. No more contracts. No more business arrangements. Just us, choosing each other every day. From the other bed, Marcus made a disgusted sound. Could you two be romantic somewhere else? I'm trying to recover here. They both laughed. Antonello reached out, and after a moment, Marcus took his hand. Father and son, beginning again. 6 months later, Rosa went into labor 3 weeks early. Antonello nearly passed out from panic, but Francis kept everyone calm. The delivery was long and difficult, but when the doctor announced twins, 2 healthy girls, the fear transformed into overwhelming joy. Antonello held his daughters with shaking hands, silver hair falling across his face as he cried openly. They're perfect. You're perfect. I don't know what I did to deserve this. You chose to change. You chose love over empire. Rosa watched her husband cradle their babies, her heart so full it ached. That's everything. Marcus visited later, recovered from his gunshot wound and slowly building a relationship with Antonello. He looked at his baby sisters with wonder. What are we naming them? Camilla and Hope. Antonello looked up at his son. One for the mother who raised you with love. One for the future we're building together. The former security chief turned acknowledged son wiped his eyes quickly. She would have liked that. Francis bustled in with blankets and advice, treating everyone like family because they were. Jonah visited with friends from his new private school, excited to be an uncle. Even Patrick sent a card from wherever he had disappeared to, congratulating her and apologizing again. Rosa watched her strange, complicated, beautiful family gather around her hospital bed and knew she had found something she never expected. Home wasn't a place. It was people choosing each other despite mistakes and flaws. It was love growing in the darkest soil, resilient and true. Antonello caught her eye over their daughters' heads. Thank you for giving me a second chance. Thank you for being worth it. Outside, the sun set over the city. Antonello no longer ruled through fear and violence. He had transferred his empire to legitimate businesses, used his resources to help instead of harm. The old crime lord was dying, but the man who emerged was someone worth remembering. That night, with their daughters sleeping peacefully and Marcus dozing in a chair nearby, Antonello and Rosa held hands and talked about the future. About raising their girls with love and honesty. About Marcus finding his place in their family. About however many years they had left together, making every moment count. I love you, Rosa Hayes Marchetti. I love you too, you stubborn, reformed crime boss. They kissed, soft and full of promise, while their daughters dreamed of a world where second chances were possible and love could heal even the deepest wounds. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel for more emotional romance tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from and which character you connected with most. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who believes in the power of second chances and true love.